Good morning, friends. Today we are discussing regarding the what is the environmental impact assessment. Environment is the burning issue of the day at local level, national level, and international levels. Environmental impact assessment is nothing but the procedure for protecting the ill effects of the environment. Introduction of the environmental impact assessment. It is defined as the systematic identification and evaluation of potential impact of the proposed project, plans, or actions on physical, chemical, biological, cultural, and socio-economic components of the environment. Environmental impact assessment planning tool helps planner in predicting future impacts of the different developments. Also, environmental impact assessment must be conducted for projects like highways, airports, canals, dams, power plants, etc., which disturb the environment. It is applicable for developmental activities which involves plans, programs, and policies. What is the basic need of the environmental impact assessment? When a project undertaken, it disturbs environmental equilibrium. To maintain quality of environment, it is essential to study impact of projects on environment. This also suggests remedial measures for development of the projects. These are the very basic needs of the environmental impact assessment. An ideal environmental impact assessment system applied to all projects that have significant environmental effects. Compare alternatives of proposed effect, management techniques, mitigation measures, preparation of the environmental impact statement. It includes both public participation and administrative review procedure. Be time to provide information for decision making. Be enforceable, included monitoring and feedback procedures. These are an ideal environmental impact assessment system which is applicable for environmental studies and audit. This is the chart of environmental impact assessment, a systematic process of identification future consequences of a current or proposed actions that may be transparency, certainty, participation, practicability, flexibility, construction activities, or cost effectiveness, creditability, accountability. These are the systematic process of the environmental impact assessment. What is the main goals of the environmental impact assessment? There are five major goals which accomplish the environmental audit or impact assessment. Number one, resource conservation. Second, waste minimization. Third, recovery of the byproduct. Fourth, efficient use of the equipments. And fifth, sustainable development. These are the major goals of environmental impact assessment. There are different methods for the environmental impact assessment. First is organizing the job. Second is performing the assessment. Third is writing the EIS means environmental impact system. And fourth is the review of environmental impact systems. These are the charts for methodology of environmental impact assessment. First is the organizing the job. Interdisciplinary team is constituted for conduct analysis of the impacts on environment. It consists of a group of geologists, agronomists, chemists, ecologists, hydrologists, engineers, etc. They decide whether project is required or not. Then, second method is performing the assessment. In this method, we to see site visits, identification and evaluation of the projects, discussion of the alternatives, preparation of the checklist, and measurement of environmental impact due to the projects. Then, preparation of the environmental impact systems. Environmental impact system is conclusion of environmental impact assessment. It is the written statement to ensure that policies and goals of the National Environment Policy Act included in ongoing projects or not. It also contains following items. Number 1, description of the site. Second, description of the proposed projects, purpose of the actions, goals and objectives. Third, environmental impact of proposed projects. Fourth, alternatives of the activity. Fifth, relation of the proposed activities to the existing land use plans. Sixth, relation between local short-term uses and long-term productivity of resource involved. Number 7, identifying measures that can be taken in order to minimize adverse effects. And number 8, incorporating the modifications in the proposed project. What is the review of the environmental impact systems? After completion of the environmental impact assessment report, public must be informed that consulted on proposed project. Anyone likely to be affected by the project is entitled to have access to executive summary of the environmental impact assessment. The affected person may include bona fide local residents, local associations, environmental groups active in the area, other person located at project sites. They have to give suggestions. 1 month give for the public inspection. After final review, decision is taken either approve or reject of the proposed project. Environmental impact assessment in India. Formal legislation for environmental impact assessment. It has been enacted by making an amendment in the Environmental Protection Act 1986. Limited involvement of the public and government agencies in the initial phase. No provision is placed to cover landscape and visual impacts in the Indian Environmental Impact Assessment Regulations. Earlier scoping was done by consultant or proponent with an inclination towards meeting population control requirements rather than addressing the full range of potential environment. Most reports in English and not in the local languages. In some cases, executive summary is translated into the local languages. What are the different limitations of the environmental impact assessment? Number 1, it should undertaken at policy and planning level rather than the project level. Second, possible alternatives is often small. Number 3, There is no criteria to decide what types of the project undergo for environmental impact assessment because many projects do not require in-depth environmental impact assessment criteria. Number 4. Lack of comprehensive environmental information, base limitations of time, manpower, and financial resources. Number 5. More research and development of the improved methodologies required to overcome limitations resulting in data. Number 6. Environmental impact assessment report too academic and lengthy, difficult to understand for the common people. Number 7. In actual, environmental impact assessment ends immediately after project clearance. No follow-up taken. What are the critical issues in the environmental impact assessment guidelines? It can local environment cope with additional waste and pollution that project will be produce. Will project location conflict with nearby land use? Can project operate safely without serious risk of the accidents or long-term health hazards? Is there sufficient infrastructure to support the projects? How much resources will project consume and are adequate surplus of the resources available? What kind of human resources will it require or replace? And what will be its social impacts? What damage will be caused to national, regional assets such as natural resources, tourist areas, or historic or cultural sites, etc. These are the critical issues related to the environmental impact assessment guidelines. Any question to you regarding this? Thank you.